folks hungry for the Eucharist might sign up for Monday through Friday, or even Saturday morning. So we didn't see that, and we have a crowd that really wants to go to daily Mass. That's definitely their spirituality, and it's beautiful. So we've lifted that, so it's still one attendance per Sunday Mass, but if you want to sign up multiple times for
versus
just
normal,
the weekday
where people would come more than one Sunday
masses,
Mass,
that's okay. And right now, it looks like we're just going to keep our normal schedule.
I think people are doing a good job.
We'll see in future weeks if we need to
pacing
add
it out,
anything. That could be possible.
As soon as they can.
Dispensation, sign up, and then safety protocols. Make sure to read through them.
Before
don't freak out.
People are
and we don't have some police force,
guilt-free and safely able to come.
We're not out to get you here. But at the same time, please follow them, because it is for each other. It's not only for yourself, but it's for everybody else there. And I think everybody else there is kind of the police force, because if they think you're endangering them, they're not going to like that. So just, they're a little burdensome, but they're not that burdensome. Keeping distance is a big deal. Time is a big deal too, as we all breathe. The more time you're in the presence of those breaths, the risk goes up. So time-wise, we got to kind of compress our Mass to make it efficient. It's going to be tough for me in my mouth. I got to shut it. Deacon Dan is clapping over there. Deacon Dan. Some of you are clapping. And I really don't like to talk, so I don't know why I talk so much. But I'm going to keep my minute. Don't scoff. I'm going to keep my homily like a minute or two. It's like 3 tops. Seriously. Probably it would be just like a 2-minute homily. Music. So the time is compressed, so we're probably going to be 45 minutes at Mass. And so we really don't want you to show up too early, although we can't all show up at the same time. So if you could just nicely somehow stagger yourselves, I don't know how you do that, but because they got to make sure you're checked in. Because if you signed up the seat, we want to make sure you get your seat. And so we do have a little check-in just to make sure we keep our numbers. So and there's only going to be 2 doors open: the west door, which is the main door, and the south door. Because we can't manage 3 check-in stations, and not that many people come to the north, anyways. So you just come, you'll check in. We're asking you to wear your masks. I'm looking forward to seeing all those colorful masks. Anybody who doesn't have a mask, hey, guess what? I got lots of socks, and I can cut my socks up. I can't launder them. I don't have time to launder them, but I can cut them up. Deacon Dan, I will give you one of my beautiful sock masks.
You!
I'm kidding.
By the way, Father Kent O'Connor says, shut it.
Oh my goodness. Fireside chat. Fireside chat. We're still at war, but Father Kent, oh man. He totally disrupted my thoughts. But we are supposed to wear masks. And, the only exception, somebody said that infants under 5, they can't do that. You might question whether you bring your infant, sort of thing like that. So I'm unsure about them. Use your best sense. There's some folks who said, it's hard for me to breathe with a mask. Well, you might ask whether it's a good idea for you to go to Mass if you have trouble breathing, because that is a vulnerable person to the virus. But if you have that problem, talk to us, talk to me. We'll make a way. We'll find a way for you to get to a Mass, or at least to receive communion. We could come to you even. We haven't organized communion again, one thing at a time. But it's tough right now. But follow the protocol. So space, time, continuum, space. Keep your space. We're going to be short. Wear the masks. Lots of hand hygiene, sanitizing, before, after. Singing is just like me talking really loud. It just propels more out of the lungs. And they say it's really all about those droplets. And a sneeze, a cough, puts a lot of them out. That's why the mask protects other people, because it catches most of that. your breathing isn't too bad, but singing is like breathing times 10 or something. It's kind of like a sneeze or a cough. So congregational singing is really discouraged. So that will be at the purest minimum. We're going to have a little bit of music, but it's mainly just going to be the cantor singing. We won't really be singing much or at all. Oh, I know there's a lot of other things. Communion is just a little bit different. Don't worry about this. If you're worried about it all, we're explaining it, and we even have it on our little worship aid we'll hand out. There'll be just a little bit different communion flow. And the thing about it, it's just going to be a little slower and safer. So you're going to have to come in line, spread out. You have to wear your mask until you get close to communion. When you get close, maybe you're a person or two away, you would just, undo the top of your mask. You could let it hang. Or if you got one of those, where did that go? I had a cool mask, but you got one of those loop masks. You can just take it and loop it around your finger, and it would hang down. We do encourage you, strongly recommend to receive on the hand. It's a lot easier. We're going to be super slow and careful about it so we can place Jesus reverently, but not touch your hand. So we just got to be a little slow and careful about it. The minister will wear their mask so they won't breathe on you. You'll have to have your mask off just for that moment. And then you'll return to your pew. And we do have one station specifically for receiving on the tongue. And they have to sanitize before and after, each person. Just because it's a little bit unknown, but some think there might be more risk for that there.
Someone does want to know, are you still supposed to go ahead and say amen when receiving communion?
That's a good question, because I was on a little thing with Archbishop and some of the priests, and somebody was saying that. You can say amen quietly, and it's not ultimately, utterly essential there. You can say it in your heart. But yeah, you don't want to breathe, because the thing I'm actually kind of most worried about is just breathing on my supply of hosts. So I'm going to it's like the football almost. Be a little protective of Jesus, reverently protective, so people don't breathe on him.
Father Kent said that you could say, he said, we learned it's probably best to wait until after you say amen to remove the mask. So say amen and then remove the mask.
Yeah, if you could do that.
They might slow down your wine.
And slow is okay. I'm okay with slow. So that can work. Yeah. The body of Christ, amen. Remove your mask.
Or mouth the word silently. But
And you can do that too. Yeah, the main thing is don't do that, please. Don't aspirate a lot. You don't have to breathe a lot. A whispered amen. I don't think there's a lot of breath coming out. You gotta breathe anyways, unless you're gonna hold your breath. So it's we are down in the the weeds in a way. The fact of the matter is we cannot remove all risk. But hey, you're going to grocery stores, you're going to your pet stores, your liquor, your booze, you're getting your booze every week. Deacon Dan's getting his booze every day. Taking those risks.
Every day.
We
Dang.
cannot remove all risks for Mass. You just have to ask, what was acceptable. And we got to manage it, and we're not going to add to that risk. So this is for this weekend, and we're going to tweak it. We're probably going to learn some things.
And you will be wearing your mask during communion only.
Yeah.
While you're up.
So just so you know, I'm not trying to set a bad example, but it is said by the big church, I know it's at least out of the USCCB, that the celebrant is not to wear a mask during the liturgy. It's just not somehow fitting to the celebration. And they didn't even recommend that he wore it during communion, but our archdiocese is taking that added precaution because there's just so much breathing and proximity there that I'm going to wear the mask only for communion. So that's the only time I'll wear my mask. mask.
My man.
Mask.
It's not very much
My
of a deal. You just kind of come up
mask.
as normal. You just got this mask to deal with, and just be a little bit careful. If you don't do it right, God's not going to smite you. Neither am I. But
I might
just try
smite
your
you.
best.
I might
you know.
smite.
I might.
Read all the rest. Yeah, the flow's a little different because you can't have all these our aisles aren't all big enough, so you can't have both the double flow on the side aisles.
I put up the picture.
So, cool. Carrie Jo's putting up the communion flow. And since we only have maybe a tops 150 folks, it's really all we need for Eucharistic ministers.
I think you put up a little sort of.
No, I didn't. No, that's a separate window.
All right, so they're arguing about what graphic is up or not. I don't know. I can't see. I don't have a computer. Oh yeah, that's cool. Where's that at? Where am I hand? Oh, there's a delay here.
Yes, there's a delay.
There's a really big delay today, so.
Big delay. What else can we say about reopening? It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, you move the camera. Does that mean Deacon Dan's on?
Wasn't there that language commercial that said it is what it is? SOCKS.
Yes.
And then I was noticing Deacon Dan's socks. Can
Oh yeah.
I?
Because in
Because they're
Spanish,
just so cool.
SOCKS is what it is. That's right. SOCKS. Wait a minute. What are we talking about? Deacon Dan's socks?
Sorry.
I launder my socks.
Deacon Dan will make you. Yeah, he does launder his socks.
I want a mask.
You look like Pippi Longstocking or something. Ooh, look at the look. The look. I guess we're ready for our segment here. They've had enough of me talking about reopening, so we're moving on to guest segment. We have distinguished guest, Deacon Dan Undercheck, and he is our permanent deacon. He is married and has a family and has been a deacon for a while now. How long
Since
have you-
2011.
11?
Wow.
9 years.
Something gotten better throughout this years.
April.
Wow. So 9 years. Congratulations on 9 years
We are live.
service.
Watch your comments.
And
Whoops.
I think mainly we're switching to ordinations.
You guys
because,
are?
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be an ordination for the archdiocese.
We have. I have him running in our.
Not permanent.
He's right here.
But the
Okay.
transitional, although in a way it's
How's
always
that work?
permanent because
Come-
every priest
come look.
His video
underlying
is
that priest
in our
is-
video.
he still has his diaconate, which means to serve, because you're ordained a deacon and then a priest and then God forbid a bishop. What
Nice.
toughest job in the world. But you don't stop being a priest when you're a bishop, and neither does a priest stop
What
being a
Nicholas just
deacon
said.
What's that?
when he becomes a
The
priest.
layers.
Although sometimes we get
Layers
lazy
in
and
our
we
CIA.
stop serving. We say, Deacon Dan, serve me. But
Oh,
I never
what a
do
hoot,
that.
Father Thomas.
I never do that. But anyway,
I think this shorter homily business is going to be really tough for you. I never do. I don't like to talk too much.
well, it's a show.
I think this shorter homily business is going to be really tough for you.
Permanent diaconate. Tomorrow. It'll be live stream.
I think this shorter
Oh wait, I got too many things going on.
Permanent diaconate.
What are you doing? I'm in the loop.
Very own Luke Doyle, and he, I think they moved here at some point in his life, but he grew up here. I know he went through Hayden.
Now pictures up.
His picture's up, and his family's still here. And so Luke's going to be ordained a deacon tomorrow, along with him, Keith Chadwick and Thomas Maddock. I got my pictures of them all, but you got a picture of Luke.
Yeah, that's it.
And you can watch the live stream. And then on Sunday, Luke's going to come back here, and it won't be one of our standard masses. And since he has family and friends coming, he gets his own mass. So, he's going to do it in the afternoon, a mass as a deacon. He can't do it all. I'm the priest for it, but and we want to celebrate that. So actually, Deacon Dan, I'm going to let you talk finally, because he wants to celebrate that.
Well, first of all, Father, I want to say, hello, neighbor.
Ha!
Hello, friend.
Well, hello.
Will you be my friend?
you're kind of like the postman or something on the
Yep.
show, or one of the puppets.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I am not your boy. So, talk about Luke Doyle. This is a big deal for our parish. It's a big deal for Luke and his family. With the way things are going with the isolation, it's hard to celebrate him. What we're proposing is after his ordination mass, which is starting at 1:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. After mass is completed, I would like to propose that we have a car drive by that little circle that's in front of the west doors. Luke will be standing out there and just wishing him well and congratulating him. We do say don't get out of your cars, please. So this is kind of that distancing. Just stay in your cars. You can honk, you can yell, and hopefully Luke can, if you're really good, maybe Luke will give you a blessing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, diaconal, powerful blessing.
Yeah.
Deacons
Do they do
can
that?
bless.
What's
Yes.
They can.
Do they bless people
Wait,
after
Father,
that?
can you do that?
Not really.
We're gonna bless you in the name of the
Not
Father
really.
and the
Not
Son and the
supposed
Holy
to.
Spirit.
Well, thank you.
Man, my hand almost burned.
Get out of here. I'm going to throw coffee.
You're not
on
supposed to
you.
do that.
But I think this would be a nice way to celebrate Luke and
Dan.
say, thank you for offering up what you're going to do for our church, and of course for Jesus.
So this will be about 2:30,
About 2:30.
maybe 2:15.
So I'd ask
Right.
you to park your cars between St. Vincent's and the school. And my wife and my son Ryan will be out there to kind of direct you to where you can line your cars up. And that's that.
So yeah, kind of a drive-by, honk, celebrate Luke at the end of his first deaconing mass Sunday, and show up about 2:15.
The ceremony is private, but it will be live streamed.
Yeah, the ceremony's private. He's already got enough people there, and some of them are a little skittish. So we're not trying to add folks in the church. So don't try to get in the church. Yeah,
Don't
you
try to
can
get
come
into the church.
honk at him. We'll promise it won't be the last time. You'll get to interact with them
Is this for his first homily?
sometime.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a little story about Luke. I've known Luke, most of his life. At one point, we were at a Teen Encounter with Christ retreat down at Prairie Star Ranch, and Luke was he's really receptive to the Spirit. And at the end of the retreat, you get up a chance individually to talk and say, what your experience was, if you choose. And Luke got up, and he's very well spoken. And we were all sitting there with our mouths open, because it was like, okay, Luke, this is long before he decided that he might have vocation to the priesthood. It's like, Luke, you just gave your first homily. And it was beautiful. I mean, he's so well spoken. And he's a humble guy too. So, let's celebrate, his milestone this weekend.
Luke is a great guy. We're very blessed. God is still calling men to the diaconate, to priesthood, and beyond. Pray for vocations. Pray for Luke. Yeah, what a tough time to go through all this. Although I don't think he minds. He just wants to serve. It's not about him. But I think it's good for us.
Also want to bring up the point that his dad,
Oh yeah.
Tom, is in the permanent diaconate formation.
He's not dying.
So
The boy's not dead.
keep it in the family. Would that be cool to serve a mass with your son who's a priest?
Yes.
I think that'd be
I'm
awesome.
trying to think that through. I don't have a son, but yeah. So it is cool. So Luke's dad. God willing, that would be, I think, 4
What's that?
years
4
away.
years. Yeah.
Could be a permanent deacon, and cool to have father-son duos.
Yep.
It's
Very
fine.
Cool.
They look like each other, so.
What
We
company
have
is it?
a
It's
distant
been
cousin
on the pot
who's a
hot
deacon,
for
permanent
1
deacon,
hour.
Okay.
somewhere in
Like
California.
all the
He's a homeless.
The
I
flavor's just
believe.
kind of flat.
He showed up one day when I was a pastor in Sabetha. He didn't just show up. I think he contacted me.
Does he talk as much as you do?
I don't know. We were only together a short time, so.
No. He said, I'm such a shy person, and I don't like to speak in front of
What's that?
people. And it's like, okay, it's enough. Cut it off.
Ha!
He just-
Okay. Okay.
So
Wait,
what
what
kind of
else?
signal should we give you if you get a little bit too wordy?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Say
You
no.
opened up your vent upstairs, by the way, in your room?
No.
No.
Me?
No.
Well,
Tackle you?
No.
I don't know if it's
Just
closed.
pray for me.
I think I closed it earlier.
I'll check it. That's good. Thank you.
Well, while you're here, Deacon Dan, anything else on your mind? Anything you want to let them have?
Let him
have it.
Let him have it.
Let him have it.
Hey, are we going to have this summer with Sudeep? Are we having the Faith in Action?
Prayer in action.
Prayer in Action, and it's with seminarians, is it?
Yeah. It's to be true. It's a summer program for teens, but the team who organizes it, the guy team, is I think almost entirely, or maybe is entirely seminarians, and then there's a women team. They're either college or even graduates of college. So that team, they lead these teens who come and they do service projects, and then they do prayer, like especially in the evenings. They
Being
pray.
with God.
Being with
Like,
God.
like
They
being.
serve in the neighborhoods.
Isn't that so
yeah,
clever?
There's a lot of
So,
they're
about-
they like to
I,
do it. They're
there's a great
trying to keep the
backstory to
numbers
this.
smaller, some
4
people
years ago,
spread
I
out,
started
how
a
they
youth
do
program.
all that.
I thought that was like a
Do you remember that?
derivative of
later
yours.
in June.
You didn't call it being with God though.
No, Father Greg
Final
wanted me to call it Being with
determination
God.
is not
Yeah.
And I crushed it.
made.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What was yours called?
My wife and,
It was called
and I
Crater.
have both done some of the
Very,
things that
very proper.
Very Nicholas Ashton.
incredible experience, incredible
Not this
experience
being
for
with
these
God
people.
stuff.
Because they put them in teams where they don't know each other. They have to work.
And there's
together.
3 coffee
Of course, there's
beans
lots
for each
different
person of the
personalities.
Trinity.
It's always kind of
Ah, yeah,
You
that's a
get
good
together.
point.
And there's no way
the gunner who's always
to
trying to do everything.
get the wrong
But
idea.
It's a good
That would be
picture
like
of
partialism,
unity
of the
and-
Trinity.
and you accept
That's
it.
partialism.
Partialism, Father Hummus.
And it's beautiful.
Come on, Patrick.
And of course, God and the Spirit and Jesus
Patrick.
is in the center of it.
Oh my.
Yeah, and I honestly believe those things are really important.
Is that how it always is? Like it plays through your phone
Often it is a mission
into the
trip,
microphone?
or
No, this place it's supposed to
like
play through the speaker. I don't know why it's
Steubenville,
not connected.
you know, one of these things where they go off and they get a different experience. Because sometimes they take in their parish, I don't know, they,
Oh, it is on.
there's something stagnant. You know, they just gotta go outside of that box, shake it up a little. Prayer in Action does that, and then they
With
come
my
back.
kids, it's, you just
they
have to
let
kick them
fire.
and get them out the door.
Well-
And once they're out the door, they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this summer's gonna be really tough. A lot of that's been canceled, and that's why Prayer in Action was kind of like fighting this to see if we could really have it. Because some of these kids are doing nothing all summer.
Nothing.
We can do it safely. They can
Got
do a little service.
nothing.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus wants you.
Yeah.
What? Deacon.
Yep.
Oh, that one.
That's all I got.
Not me, Deacon.
It's that it's the camera that makes you chatty.
Well, it is. So I'm an introvert. They say a lot of stage actors are introverts.
It's
I
true.
can play up for the camera for an hour, but I can't maintain this all day long. I mean, I can talk for an hour straight.
Thank God.
But believe me, after this, I literally fall apoplectic on the floor, and they kick me, and I won't even move. So that's my
Just stay out of the main
SAT
traffic
word of the
way.
day. Apoplectic.
That's a big word.
That is a big word.
Or like hey,
Where's the diction?
Deacon Dan.
Zombie? A zombie?
Deacon Dan, Deacon Dan, Deacon Dan, Deacon Dan. You are a nurse anesthetist.
Correct.
Your day job.
Yes.
Did you know what anesthesia, the Greek word behind it, is? I just heard this on Mike Scherschlick's.
Mike Scherschlick.
Mike Scherschlick.
First,
Mike
first,
Scherschlick
first.
has that Holy Family School of
Yeah,
Faith Rosary podcast.
Get to the point.
He was talking about beauty, and anesthesia, I think, is based on the word beauty, but I think it's like, I can't remember now. There's like
Put the
no
ponderous
beauty,
on for Father Greg.
because aesthetics
The music.
is about
good.
beauty, and
Oh, their clock is going off. That must mean
anesthesia,
it's
I
time for us
think,
to start.
means no beauty, where you're numb to beauty.
Well,
So you're
use
numbing
anesthesia.
people like, so they cannot take in beauty, because that's not, as humans, we need beauty. Our heart's desire. When we're anesthetized, we are numb, and we don't take in beauty.
Interesting.
Somebody should verify that, because it was several
I
days
believe
ago,
it.
and my poor
I mean, I'm
brain
trying to think
Sounds
of
good
like
to me.
said
Okay, I have a comment.
You
You're a
Yeah.
beauty killer.
I have
A
a
beauty killer.
Beauty
you know.
killer.
You
aestheticism.
heard it.
if we did not
And
remove
and
his beauty for a few minutes, if
aestheticism.
he was having something that was very painful, to see a grown priest,
Oh.
man, cry like he would,
I'm
like a
sad to
baby.
see you go, Father Hamas,
Saying,
and
please,
Deacon Dan.
please give me something. I need more.
Time to
That's
shut it
true.
down.
Do not get
And-
surgery on me without
Adios.
anesthesia.
Okay, that's why it's the bottom drawer. That's the rubber mallet.
The rubber band.
Okay, that's anesthesia here.
Why did he not go away? Why is he still there? Oh, I closed the wrong one.
Usually Deacon Dan said.
Nice.
Time for the real show to get started. I closed the wrong
Here
window.
come the
Father Ashmar, we could all just
Here
like make up
come
songs
the
for
professionals.
40 minutes. I make up songs all the time.
Do you?
We are here to
Not actual. I just sing things instead of say them. So I don't make up songs. That's way too generous.
Alrighty, well. Alright, welcome everyone to the real show now. We got rid of those other guys, so welcome. We'll turn the music down. I think I got it up on the YouTube again. Yes, my sister's excited. So YouTube was just being...
It had an off day.
It had an
we
off
all
day.
have off days.
Yes. it was,
I'm having off
speak
2
for
months
yourself.
personally.
So welcome everyone. We have our special guest, our new co-host with us
Yeah.
again today.
I wonder how long I'll be a special guest for, and then it'll
You-
just be same old.
No. You are a co-host. I by the power vested in me by Father Greg, I now dub you co-host. So
Wonderful.
congratulations. We're happy to have you, and Father Greg approves.
I was never knighted.
I
don't want to be knighted.
Well, but we were the originals, the new originals.
This is true.
So very good. Well, yeah, we're out of comfortable chairs actually. So
Oh, this one's not bad at all. It's got good back support. This chair is good to go.
yeah, we got what I call the tongue over there.
That is true.
Ooh.
But that just kind of. Well, it's I guess it's what is it, chaise? Is that what it's called?
Is that a thing?
I don't know. It's got a thing. I mean, I could show it to you over there, but I'm not going to. But it's comfortable. But I'm not sure if it'd work in the fireside chatness. It's too big. Chatness rhymes with catness.
It does.
Um,
Yes, and yeah, I am also thankful for the rain. Last night, before I went to bed, I decided to go pray a rosary and go on a walk, and it started raining while I was walking, and it was lovely. I love walking in the rain.
I was wondering about that because you said you're going out for a walk.
What time
right
was
at the
that?
Oh, 10:15 or so.
PM?
Yeah.
Whoa.
What?
That's late.
It was a late walk.
Gotta
You
pray
know-
your rosary. Gotta pray your rosary.
That's right.
But I
And
mean,
me
so I think I mentioned this before. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania during my high school years. Also Rochester, New York when I was a young kid. And I love the rain because of that, because it rained all the time growing up.
Yeah.
I have lots of memories marked by the pitter patter of raindrops.
It is lovely with. I'm looking forward to some nice, good old thunderstorm. I got a bit of a thunderstorm
There
last
was
night.
some- A helicopter flew over the house at like 7:30.
Or a shay tongue.
It was so strong that the house was kind of shaking. I thought it was the thunderstorm starting, but it was a helicopter flying over.
Oh, okay.
Pretty insane.
So in case you missed the episode yesterday, and if you were trying to watch it on YouTube, then you would have, because it was not running on YouTube. We have Deacon Anthony Mersman here with us, who will be ordained priest of Jesus Christ next Saturday.
1 week.
1 week. It'll be 1 week till you get the hands.
In 25 minutes, it'll be one. It'll be 8 days.
If you were counting, then yes, that would be the case.
Oh boy, am I!
How long have you been in seminary? 8 years?
Yeah,
9?
It's been 8. April 12th, 2012. April 16th, 2012 was when I first became a seminarian.
Okay, but then you're accepted?
Yeah.
It's amazing you remember that date.
I do. I was on my way to cultural anthropology class at K-State.
Okay.
It It was a very short phone conversation.
So he did a year at K-State
I see.
before he
Yes.
went to seminary.
And
Okay.
I came to Glennon as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So did
Then
you
he-
have a pastoral
He
year?
did, yeah.
I did do one at St. Lawrence, KU.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I remember seeing you in the office
That's
there.
right.
Mhm.
I did do that.
Mm-hmm. It was a whole year, huh?
One entire year.
With Father Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. And he survived.
Yes.
Yep.
So Father Mitchell and I went to KU together. He was a year ahead of me, but I'm a year ahead of him for ordination.
So did you guys sing together? Because
We
he was in
did.
the choir back then.
We did indeed. We
Were
went
you,
to
did
Rome
you go to
together.
Rome? Oh,
I did.
that was my next question. Beat me to it.
Look at
You
that.
also met the Holy Father. Did you meet him? Sing for him?
We sang for him in the
Okay.
audience. You know,
That's cool.
when the Wednesday audiences, they have like if choirs show up, if you are quick enough, you're supposed when they introduce all the groups. So this is how it used to be
Yeah.
anyway. Introduce all the groups, and they say, and from Lawrence, Kansas, the St. Lawrence Catholic Campus Center Choir or whatever, and you have to jump up and start singing before they announce the next group. And we sang. What is it, Tu es Petrus or whatever, or something like that? It was,
Probably.
but
It seems very fitting.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tuus Petrus in Latin means you are Peter. And it's one of the traditional songs / chants that is sung when the Pope enters into a room or
he's probably tired of
during
hearing that
Mass.
song. Really,
He probably is. There's some really cool.
it was a cool arrangement.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's made it. Anybody who's done liturgical music has made an arrangement of it in the past 500 years, and so there's some really excellent arrangements of it.
That's
And that is true. So a quick history on my life, just because Al is mentioning that I also lived in Olpe, Kansas. I was born in Rochester, New York. Moved to Michigan when I was 6. Moved to Kansas when I was 7, and I went to school in Olpe during that time. And moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania when I was 14, and I moved back down to Kansas when I was 18.
Wow.
Yep. Then I did 4 years at Conception, 4 years in St. Louis at Kenrick, and now 1 year in Shawnee, Kansas.
Boom.
Boom! There it is.
I grew up
Some
in the same
knowledge.
house my mom grew up in.
That's
Really?
incredible.
We did not move.
huh. Now your family is no longer dairy farmers, right?
Correct. They're still farming all around the house, but it's a different farmer.
Have
that
you ever
does it
milked a
all.
cow?
Never.
I would
Really?
love to milk a cow.
I've milked a
Never.
cow.
My older
Really?
siblings, we had a few cattle that we were still in charge of when my family, before I was born. And they all remember having to race down to the milk barn before the bus came to get to milk the cows before going to school. And the last one to get to the milk barn was stuck with the slowest milking cow. So it was always a really dangerous game to be the last one.
Yeah.
Because you could have missed the bus.
Don't want to miss that bus. No, when I was in seminary, they had different weekends, so you had different kind of pastoral experiences. So we had a rural experience, a urban experience, and then maybe like some sort of like ethnic experience or something.
Yeah.
So like just either going to a Polish community or
Yeah.
Hispanic community or an African American community. Those are great weekends. I usually stayed with a family there, sometimes in the rector if there's a spot. But it was a really good experience.
Yeah, we had something similar at Conception too.
But anyway, that's why I milked a cow, was because of the
Interesting.
rural experience. I stayed with the family,
Oh my goodness.
and I got the experience of I stayed with some dairy farmers and milked a cow.
That's incredible.
What's
so
the-
when I was 12, go ahead, please.
No, you go. Go for
Okay.
it.
No, you
when
go.
I was,
No, please, wait.
When I was 12,
He's going.
I had the best idea for an invention.
Oh, did you?
And ever since then, I still think. Do you know this invention?
No, I'm just every time you start a story like this, I just have a certain. Never mind.
I appreciate
Go for
the hope you have for me. Anyways, imagine a milk dispenser. And there's milk up top. You're like in a cafeteria or something like that. You
Yeah.
want to get some milk. There's
Okay.
milk up top. Normally, like at Kenrick, we had a little lever essentially that you push the cup into,
Yes.
and then milk came out of the
Yes.
spout into said cup. What if instead of a lever, you had an udder?
So you could milk the milk bag.
Exactly.
Wow.
It'd be incredible. It'd be so much fun.
And then a kid would go up to it like, how is there a whole cow in this metal box? How is there a cow in here?
So did you submit that idea to Kendrick or wherever?
Well,
Or
I was
it
12
12?
years old,
12.
so I
You're
didn't
The
12.
U.S. Patent Office or whatever.
My mom thought it was a terrible idea.
Well,
She
don't
wasn't
think she's the
nearly
only
as
one.
she wasn't nearly as visionary as I was.
Oh, can you imagine?
Hey mom, can you get me a glass of milk? Sure.
But that milk that I had, it was because I had milk at that family's house, and I think it was unpasteurized or whatever, but it was so delicious. It
Really?
was so good. It was
Oh.
like not like straight out of the cow, but it was almost straight out of the cow.
Yeah.
It was
I haven't
really
had
good.
that either, but I've heard it. Yeah, it's very thick, very rich. Yep.
I think for a while there, then I was on a whole milk kick because I'm like, why drink? I can't go back to skim now because
Yeah.
I still can't do skim. I usually do 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2%. I have some 2% now because there wasn't any 1% at the store when I was there. So
2% is pretty my standard.
Mhm.
It's my baseline.
Yeah. Good. So again, how are you doing? Welcome. Well, what are you doing? We are your community in the distance here at our fireside chat. So if you have any questions, let us know, and we're happy to talk about whatever. We never know what we're going to talk about. We sometimes have some ideas when we turn on the camera, but not always.
I looked at the comments from yesterday's video, and there was a question we didn't answer, and I forget what it was.
There was about The Chosen, and Teresa, I think it was you that typed that in. I've heard great things about The Chosen. I've watched about 20 seconds of it, and what I saw, those 20 seconds were really good. I just haven't got around to it yet, but I really want to. So it's a movie, it's a Jesus movie, Jesus series, really. And it's a great idea. We were talking about this, I think, earlier about it's crowdfunded. So what happens is the first episode is free, I guess, and the second episode you watch, and there's a little thing that comes at the beginning. This episode was brought to you by so and so. And so what happens is you can watch the whole first season for free. But then if you want to then after you finish the season, if you enjoyed that, then you pay it forward and you say, I love this so much. I want to sponsor this, so you pay whatever, the $20, $40, or however much you want to say, and you are basically funding somebody else's viewing of it. So that's how they're funding this movie. But I've heard great things about it. Religion movies tend not to be all that great. We talked about that the other day. But this one here is great, so I recommend it.
That's good. I remember the question that I didn't answer when you were talking.
Yes, please.
And it was vesting prayers. Someone
Oh,
asked,
yeah, vesting
what are
prayers.
vesting prayers? And they're prayers that a priest or deacon says when they're putting on the various vestments. And I don't have them memorized. That's why I had to buy a piece of paper laminated with the prayers on them. But each different vestment with the amice, the white square that goes around the collar, and the alb, the white gown, the cincture, the rope, the stole, and the chasuble, all those have a unique prayer and a unique meaning for the priest. Father Ashmore, do you have one you want to highlight?
1 second.
The cincture is about celibacy.
Yeah, so the cincture says, Preaching me Domine, so put around me, O Lord, Domine cingula puritatis, this cincture of purity. I haven't memorized in Latin, so I have to translate it on the fly.
Which he can do.
It's
No big deal.
Yeah, and extinguish in my
Belly.
belly, essentially. Yeah, extinguish in my belly. The word doesn't translate directly. And extinguish in my
Gut.
my gut the flames of concupiscence,
Cool.
essentially. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Very good. So,
So-
those are vesting.
And I obviously need to work on what they are and what they mean because I don't have them down yet.
Maniate me virtus continentia et castitatis. Yes,
And they're not
that may
required.
remain to me. Sorry,
They're not required anymore. Like they were required before Vatican II, but now they're not like forbidden. They're just not said to be required.
Right.
But I think it's incredible, just for a mindful preparation.
Yeah,
Because a lot of
exactly.
time priests, they're hanging out and greeting people, which is really good. But if there's no time for them to internally prepare at all, that can kind of distract or make the mass like habitually, I don't know, less intentional for the priest. So just spending 5 minutes vesting, praying, and then going to greet people.
Yeah,
That's my plan.
it's very helpful.
I agree. It's very helpful, but sometimes hard to do. And
Oh, no doubt.
running
about
in
it.
from confession or
No doubt
whatever,
about
or
it.
someone catches, hey, Father, a question.
Right.
Let me do my little thing here, because I think my nieces are back. So let me go to the camera here. So, hello there, Rachel and Rosalie and Laura. I guess you missed us yesterday. I apologize. I don't know what happened. YouTube was being funky. So, I hope you're having a great day, and it's going to be lots of fun. I don't know if you're coloring or doing Play-Doh today, or what you're doing today, but maybe your mom will send me a picture or a video or something of you having fun, because I always love seeing those videos of what you're up to. So, I hope you have a good day, and also hello to the Dryling girls. I hope that you are having a good day as well. Do you want to say hi to the Dryling girls?
Hello to Father Kent's nieces and the Dryling girls.
Very good. So the double bonus there. So, all right. So we'll go back to the screen here. All right. So yes, Father Ashmore, do you have anything on your heart, or you haven't read to us for a long time? It's been a really long time since we've gone to the Ash Cam and had poetry read by Father Ashmore.
It's not about me.
Well, I don't know. I think it partially is. You're at least it's at least a third about you. So,
Well, let's see. So I had a question asked to me the other night at RCA that I thought would be interesting to talk about
sure,
today.
great, sure.
So, when we're looking at passages in the Old Testament, how should we handle, especially passages from the Old Law? What should we do with them? Are they all gone? Do we ignore everything the Old Testament says? Do we ignore everything that the Old Law says?
Yes.
Or do we? What are we supposed to do with that? So, I think the first thing when we do with that, because first of all, this is a difficult question, because there are some passages in there that are first of all confusing, especially for Christians. Why can you only take this many steps on this journey? Things like that.
Some of them seem even anti-Christian. Some passages.
Some of them do. Yeah. And so the question is, what are we supposed to do with them? Some people think we should ignore the Old Testament completely. Some people will say, "Oh, the Old Testament is like the old angry God, and then the New Testament reveals to us the happy God of Jesus." Some people, that's like a simplification, but that's what some people say. Or they say, you know what, that's, if somebody gets a little fiery, they're like, oh, that he's teaching like Old Testament theology. We need New Testament theology. So first of all, the thing I want to point out with that is that's a heresy called Marcionism.
Oh, wait,
exactly.
it's time.
Is that an actual?
Yeah,
My
Marcion.
Oh, Marcionism.
Marcionism. Yeah.
Not Martianism.
Marcionism. That's when
Marcionism.
aliens come and they tell you lies. This is about Scripture. Don't believe them.
Martianism. So
Go ahead.
your favorite heresy of today is
It's Marcionism.
I
Marcionism
love
is
that there's a graphic for this.
yes. This is one of our segments.
Marcionism is a belief that the Old Testament is not helpful for Christians, and in fact, much of the New Testament, as we have it today, is not helpful for Christians either, essentially. Marcion was an early heretic of the 2nd century, I believe, who said, we can't look at the Old Testament whatsoever. He actually was a Gnostic, which means that he combined a lot of philosophy of the day, Neoplatonic philosophy, with Christianity. So he thought the Old Testament God was this demiurge coming forth, and then the New Testament God of Jesus was a different demiurge God, and it's all very confusing. If you know anything about Gnosticism, I'm impressed, because Gnosticism is confusing, and we don't know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the early church was very insistent on suppressing Gnosticism as much as they could, because it was not true. It was not what Jesus Christ taught. So, the Valentinius was an early Gnostic. Another Gnostic was Marcion. Marcion.
I think we should just refer to him as the Martian. Though.
The Marcion. He said we should not look at the Old Testament, and in fact, there was only one gospel, the Gospel of Luke, which was appropriate, and the letters of Paul. Everything else was not true scripture. So, not good. But there's also another aspect of it. So not only is it a heresy to think that the Old Testament is not useful for Christians, I would also claim it's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, sure.
That there can be a tendency of anti-Semitism that's coming out, that the Old Testament, to read in the Old Testament only evil is subtly anti-Semitic, because that's the main scripture of the Jewish people, who are in the history of mankind peaceful. So I think we have to be really careful when we're talking about how to interpret the Old Testament. So That's why we can't throw out the Old Testament.
I'm going to take you on the ash cam because we haven't been there much.
Okay. It's first of all heresy to try to throw out the Old Testament. Second of all, I would argue it's probably there are elements of it that could be anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. So, what do we do with the passages of the Old Testament? Well, especially today, I just want to look at the law itself. This is essentially Deuteronomy and Leviticus and some other laws throughout the first 5 books of the Torah. And we in Christianity, we look at those laws as 3 things. First of all, moral laws. Second of all, laws of ritual purity. And third of all, laws of the society. So we as Christians say that laws of the society and laws of ritual purity are no longer valid. They were binding for the time, but they're no longer binding for us now. But moral laws are still valid because those are speaking of things that are consistent for mankind. God was teaching morality. So moral laws like thou shalt not kill. That is still a law for a Christian, even though it was first taught in the Old Testament. Love your neighbor as yourself, which is actually in the Old Testament, is still a law for Christians. And Jesus Christ himself strengthens that. So we have moral laws. The second one are laws of ritual purity. And it's really important when we look at laws of ritual purity to divide that and understand what ritual purity is. Ritual purity is not moral purity. So some people look at the Old Testament and they see the fact that you would become ritually impure by touching blood or by touching a dead body. And they think, well, that's strange. The person hasn't done anything immoral. It's just blood. It's just a dead body. You have to do that. But ritual purity is not about moral uncleanness or moral depravity. It's about preparing for the sacrifice in the temple. It's about preparing to pray to God. So ritual purity is a way of preparing one's soul in order to worship. So there's really kind of a strange thing going on in the Old Testament that you become impure most of the time by touching holier things, which seems kind of contrary.
Mm-hmm.
But you become impure by touching blood, which blood is considered one of the holiest parts of the human body because it's in the Old Testament, it's the carrier of life. So there's this element of you're like reaching for something holy when you should be receiving something holy from God. So you become ritually impure in order to receive from the temple, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So ritual impurity. Ritual impurity is no longer a part of Christian worship in the same way, and so it's no longer valid. And then what's that?
I've edited the ash cam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just recognized that I was more visible than I thought.
Ha, that's funny.
You're now. It's now the ash man cam.
And then the oh my goodness, wow. And then you have the laws of society. Israel was a society; they needed laws just like we need laws in the United States. So those are the 3 types there. Now, one thing I want to talk about ritual purity before we go is ritual purity entirely gone in Christianity?
Is it entirely what?
Is it entirely gone? Have
Gone.
Have we left behind ritual
No.
purity? No.
Eucharistic fast.
Eucharistic fast.
Well, look at you go.
Mm-hmm. So the Eucharistic fast is not.
There's a reason you're on the man
necessarily-
cam.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, would you like to explain that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
And you're over here.
I just thought that it would be a very similar concept to ritual purity. So we have a fast before receiving the Eucharist. Right now it's 1 hour before receiving the Eucharist so that there's nothing or little in our bodies when we receive the Eucharist to avoid having a lot of stuff in your digestive system when you consume the Eucharist. And that sounds kind of weird to picture that, but you could also look at it as just having a clean space, like a physical space, because we do consume the Eucharist, which has the appearance of bread and wine, and God did choose to come to us in that form, which is a familiar, symbol of nourishment, familiar way of nourishment, a way for us to be able to consume Jesus in his entirety. So having that fast means we can have a clean space before we consume him.
Now, that doesn't mean that food is bad. Again, what I said was ritual purity generally. Now, there are some exceptions to this, but generally in the Old Testament, there was this element of you're touching something holy before it's the appropriate time. So food is not bad, right? But we're going to prepare ourselves to receive something holier than even food. And so there's that element of ritual purity for the Eucharistic fast. Another element of ritual purity is celibacy of the priests. That we as priests and deacons too abstain from marriage, not because marriage is bad, but because marriage is holy, and we're preparing ourselves to receive something even more holy in the sacred mass. And so ritual purity is not totally thrown away, but we just have a new concept of it in the New Testament. So there's my teaching of the day.
All right, very good.
Also, I did fact check, and Marcion was that heresy originated in 144 AD, so his 2nd century thought in his head was correct. That was his only thing he was questioning.
So I might then also, maybe just tying that in with today, I mean, there are rules that come out that are for a time. And so I might make that connection then with the ritual purity or the social purity or whatever. It's not entirely unlike the new rules that we have, like wearing masks or doing sanitizer. The rules are there for the good also of society and of the people. So one of the reasons that, like, the swine, I believe, were considered impure was because there was less means, or at least the belief was that they were a dirtier animal, and it caused lots of damage. And still, pork still does, right? I mean, if you don't cook pork properly, that's, what do you call that? Oh, it's just
Food poisoning?
Bad. But there's a particular kind of thing when you eat raw bacon or whatever. It's
weird.
E. coli? Oh no. Not E. coli, bacteria.
But anyway, so the particular rules, like if someone were going to look at where we are today, you have to stand 6 feet apart, or you have to sanitize your hands, or you have to wear a mask during the liturgy or whatever. Those rules are not entirely unlike the rules that were there in the Jewish times, that have now we have moved past those because they are no longer relevant. So one day we will move past these laws as well, because they will no longer be relevant because the virus will be gone. So just some kind of thought there. And yet, or like for instance, the obligation, like I've been saying, the obligation to attend Mass on Sunday is normally an obligation. But the moral law of keep the Lord's Day holy, that still stands. So even though this piece is different, the moral law still remains.
This is actually a fascinating topic. The church does not require you to go to Mass on Sunday. What's that?
Carry on.
For the purpose of, I guess I lost my thought for a moment. The church does not require you to go to Mass on Sunday because she thinks that's the only way that you can worship God. It is the best way to worship God, certainly, but she believes it's the best way to keep the Sabbath holy, keep the Sunday holy, and that's why she requires Mass on Sunday for people to go to it. She's taken that requirement away at this point, not because she doesn't think Sunday is important any longer, but because there's this greater reality that we have to keep the society safe. However, that still means that we have to keep the Sabbath holy with our lives. And until the, I believe, Fourth Lateran Council, which would have been in the 12th or 13th century. You can check me.
13th century.
13th century? Okay.
This guy is really fresh out of seminary.
Before the Fourth Lateran Council, Christians were not required to go to Mass on Sunday.
Oh.
It was the custom of Christians to do so, but it wasn't a law of the church.
Interesting.
For 12 centuries.
Okay. Very good. Interesting. I did not know that. Or I probably did at one point in time. Maybe I don't know. So
when you look at the councils of the church, you have Nicaea, that's one of the most important. The Council of Trent, which was in a response to the need for reform in the 16th century. Second Vatican Council, the First Vatican Council, these are all very important ones. But one of the ones that are most important that people forget is the Fourth Lateran Council. It affected more the Christian life more than a lot of the other councils did. It set up what post-medieval Christian life looks like.
I know that Lateran IV was 13th century because we have a professor at Kenrick who, regardless of the class he's teaching, canon law or Latin or temporal goods, if you answer his question with Lateran IV, he says you're correct.
Yeah. Right.
So what's it? Lateran IV. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Very good. Uncooked pork is trichinosis. There it is. I thought there was a term for it.
And Teresa, you're asking what a demiurge is. I have no idea. It is. There's this weird I don't know enough about Gnosticism to speak about it in an educated way, but as I understand it, Gnosticism comes from the word gnosis, which in Greek means knowledge. And so there is this element of
Trichinosis?
coming
Yeah.
into greater knowledge.
That's right.
If you are, if you're part of a secret sect, you can come into greater knowledge. And what they're coming, it's the knowledge of how the gods are kind of emanating from themselves. So you have all these different layers of gods, and these are the demiurges. And Jesus Christ would be considered the greatest demiurge. In the Old Testament, God would be considered a greater, a lesser demiurge coming forth in this world. It's very weird. I don't understand
Is it
it.
like a demigorgon? Isn't that the Stranger Things thing?
Demigorgon.
Demigorg or whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's any Stranger Things fans out there.
Yeah. Demigorg. Why am I saying with a British accent?
I don't know.
What?
Demigorg.
From now on, our show will be spoken in British English.
They say Demigorg, I think.
What?
Demigorgon for the full name.
Have you seen Stranger Things?
No. Mm-mm.
It is kind of scary, but it might be kind of up your alley with kids using foul language and coming of age.
Coming of age stories. Coming of age stories. I like those. Oh my, that's hilarious.
Sometimes that includes foul language.
No, sometimes yes. No, we were talking about your favorite movie is Stand By Me, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a certain amount of Stand By Me ishness to
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's kind of like a serial Steven Spielberg film, isn't it? Stranger Things. So it's not Steven Spielberg, obviously, but it's kind of got his feel, doesn't it?
Your phone thought you were saying Siri when you said Steven Spielberg.
Bad.
I don't know. I think
Bad.
it's a very clever show. And watching it with my sister, I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I also like it because it's short. I mean, relatively. So there's only like 6 or 8 shows a season. So it's not like one of those big long seasons. Are you laughing over there?
Now there's so much to watch. There's a screen which is like
Yeah, you got to keep
behind
yourself focused.
live. There's his phone is on Siri for saying Steven Spielberg.
That's right. There is. It's,
Drinking coffee.
you had no idea, did you? Anyway, but what's clever about it is it's set in the 80s, so it's very nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack is great, right, Kathleen? But it's really clever the way it works is because it follows these kids. They're one of the key piece that are like 12, 13-year-olds, whatever. But then they've also got their older siblings, which are in high school.
Oh, cool.
And they've also got their parents. So what's cool about the show is, for those of us who lived through the 80s, many of us, I know that this doesn't apply to either of you, but many of us can associate, and it's nostalgic for each of us. Mm-hmm. So like I can associate with the kids because I was about that age when this was going on. Or people that are a little bit older than me might associate, that exactly is like my high school. Or people that are a little bit older, it's like that's how I was when I was an adult in the 80s. So it's pretty clever
That is cool.
the way they do that. But
Nice.
It's anyway, Demigorg.
And it is quality. It's good.
Okay.
The last season got a little bit weird, but the first season was really good.
First season was really good. Yeah.
Really good.
Jen is saying that it's okay, not as well written as Stand By Me. Few things are.
Sure. I mean, it is just a Netflix show, but Netflix shows are not always good. But this one's good. It's
Pretty
a
good.
better one.
Pretty good.
And then what was I going to say something else about before we got into Demigorgons?
Well, we're going from demiurges, demigorgons, to Stand By Me, to making fun of me, and then...
That's just always the default back. Make fun of Father Matthew.
No, well, I guess I was going to mention that. So you were saying about the trichinosis. I do sometimes repeat things that I see on the Facebook feed because we're simulcasting, so we're on both Facebook and YouTube. Mm-hmm. So those that are on YouTube don't see the Facebook comments. So I'm just trying to get everyone caught up with those who are watching on YouTube, and vice versa. If I see a YouTube comments, but there's
And now he's explaining to me what's going on for me.
This is like a
for
videoception right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
Inception,
Just so you get caught up of
No.
you were like, why did you say trichinosis? It's already in here. Yeah.
No, I didn't even hear you say trichinosis.
Oh, I see.
was showing you the
Okay,
phone.
gotcha.
But yeah, you think, yes, all of this is new to me. The fancy microphone, multiple cameras, a computer that can do this cool stuff.
Well, it's fortunate that my computer broke down last October. So it was I got right when I came back from the Holy Land, my computer just died.
Kaput.
Kaput. And it was very frustrating. And so then I was debating on what to do for a new computer. I was thinking about getting an iMac with like an iPad or something like that because these things are really expensive. But I was already doing the YouTube streaming. We have a Tuesday night live show that I do each week. And so, and I was trying, and it takes up a lot of processing power. So I couldn't get just what do you have? An Air?
A run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, I have a MacBook, but they don't sell those any longer.
Right.
So
I had to get a MacBook Pro so it could handle the Tuesday night live show basically. And then little did I know that I was going to be needing it so much. So I'm glad I didn't buy that the iMac because then I'd be lugging that thing away.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was thinking about that because I didn't realize that I was going to be needing this as much. So as it turns out, because my other computer, it was also a MacBook Pro, but it was a little bit older. It was 4 or 5 years old, and so it was really maxing out of its processing power. So this is good that I have this. It was a pretty penny, but it was.
It was many
pretty
pretty
necessary.
pennies.
Many pretty pennies. They were so pretty. When school resumes, I would suggest you have a fireside chat with the kids at varied age groups. That's
that'd
interesting.
be fun. Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Yeah.
We will
We'd-
have to possibly check that out.
Yeah, we have to think about especially with youth, you have to make sure to get parent permission and things like that. So we'll have to think about how to do that appropriately. But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Faith, Hope, and Love. It's a good Netflix movie. I don't know. I don't think I know that one at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very good. Let me just check over here on the tube. See if there's anything over here. Don't see anything over here. Any other questions that you might have for us? Anything you'd like for us to talk about? I remember what I was going to mention. We were talking about the Old Testament, and I have my Bible study tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I try to start up at about 8:30 for those that would like to discuss the previous things. We talked about 1 Corinthians last week, and so we did kind of Paul's stuff. So we did Romans, then Acts, then Galatians, and then 1 Corinthians. Kind of a strange order, but that was how I was prepared to do it. But then we're going to jump back into the Old Testament, and so we're going to start off with Joshua tomorrow. So that's the first book after the Pentateuch. Maybe I'll do a Pentateuch on the first 5 books of the Bible. Maybe we'll do that on another time. But there was a request to do Ruth. So the method of my madness was this. I've got so there was a request that we do Ruth. Mm-hmm. There was not a request to do Joshua or Judges, but I'm going to do them anyway. So Joshua, Judges, Ruth, and then 1 Kings and 2 Kings, and the reason of that is because by the time we get to there, that's where we will be in the daily readings for Mass.
Nice.
Very cool.
So, and then we will jump back, do
Man
Gospel of
plan.
Matthew and Gospel of John, I think is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Father Ash, Father Ash, the Patrick kids will be tuning in this Sunday for Via. So,
Wonderful.
cooking surprise.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see. I announced last night on our Flock Notes that we are going to be having a special guest on Sunday and that we will be doing a cooking show.
Ooh, I love it.
So we'll have to figure out who that special
Are you
guest
gonna
is.
do it in the kitchen?
I plan to. Mhm.
Cool. That'll be so cool.
Really
Are you
fun.
gonna have the preset bowls or whatever? And this
I'm
is what it
hoping
looks
so. I'm
like.
going to send the recipe out
Oh,
beforehand so the students can prepare it too and we can do it all
Nice.
together.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. It'll be fun. I'll send out more details when I figure it out. So I'll try to get that out very soon so you guys can buy stuff. I'm hoping today. So my special guest and I, whoever that is we're going to discuss plans and give you guys time to prepare.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, I see your comment there. Yes. So, yeah, I do the Bible study via Zoom so that other faces can be there, and so we can have a kind of personal conversation. I don't do these things over Zoom. These are just direct to Facebook and YouTube. So this is the only way we see comments this way. We don't have a Zoom set up for this. All right. Well, I think that we are pretty much done. Have we covered everything today? What are we drinking today? I forgot to mention. We forgot to talk about that yesterday too.
Oh, it's a Kansas City Roastery. I don't know what blend it is though.
City of Fountains.
City of Fountains
Boom.
blend. All right, boom, there it is.
And I looked at my phone a lot during the show because I was looking at articles about the deadliest animals in Australia.
Oh.
Just kind of like having that on the deck, waiting if there was going to be a time. So
Well,
we were watching.
We're
We're
a
like,
little
why
early,
is
so go ahead and talk
Deacon
about
Anthony
it.
so attached to his phone? Because I was reading up on the deadliest animals.
Tell us about
in
the
Australia.
maybe take you
I'll
back.
just read a couple of them.
I'm gonna
just
take you back to
so-
the Ashman cam.
Just a couple. Just a couple.
All right. So you're
The
back on
box-
the Ashman
The
cam.
box jellyfish. Danger rating 10 out of 10 is off the coast of Australia. Danger rating of 9 out of 10 is the honeybee, the European honeybee, which is found in Australia, and the Irukandji, which I don't know what that is. Danger
That
rating
sounds
of
frightening.
8 out of 10 is a bull shark, eastern brown snake, saltwater crocodile, Sydney funnel web spider. Danger rating 7 out of 10, blue ringed octopus, coastal taipan, common death adder, cone shells, digute or spotted brown snake, mulga snake, red-bellied black snake, tiger shark, tiger snake, great white shark, yellow-bellied sea snake.
Yellow-bellied sea snake. That sounds
Yellow-bellied. They are not yellow-bellied. They will come for you like nobody's business.
Put you in there, Betty.
So Australia is infamous for its dangerous animals with more deadly snakes than any other country worldwide. Though sharks, spiders, and snakes get the majority of bad press, it's actually an awesome array of predators and venomous predators that have earned Australia its fearsome reputation.
So you know what's great? I just learned that I'm never traveling to Australia.
Boom!
Australia, we love you. Yeah, so great. So yeah, don't go to Australia.
Sorry, Australia's probably
Australia.
going to sue us now.
That's right.
The state of Australia.
We
We
all these
filed a
promotions,
complaint.
and then it's like the anti-Australian Tourism Guild. Or
Do you want to
whatever.
die? Come to Australia.
Oh gosh. You've got a request to show
No.
a picture of your
No.
pineapple
No.
haircut.
Not right now.
Oh yeah, right. We
No.
might do that for another time. Maybe you can
It's
do
gonna
that.
take a while to pull up.
Oh,
Why
man.
did- oh,
it's
no.
class.
Next time.
Who knows that?
Later on.
Who knows that?
I don't
Who
know
are
who,
you?
Who is Heather? Wallmeyer.
Okay, so the Wallmeyers are related to the Morgans, and the Wallmeyers, I know some Wallmeyers from Burlington.
And
It,
he was in Burlington when he was younger.
It's true. So maybe Burlington.
Maybe they remember it.
They might. They might.
it is unlike anything I have ever seen before.
All I have to say is I blame my mother.
It's
Hey, your
classic.
mother's a nice lady.
Yeah, but she had terrible taste in her voice. So,
Maybe if we can get that picture to Father Greg, they can put it on his program over there in Being with God. Yes. So yes, we are we're out of time here. So thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to be next week scheduled as normal, but on Monday and Tuesday of the following week, which is Memorial Day, we're going to take a couple days off because we haven't done that. So,
6 weeks now. Yeah.
I know. So we are going to be on schedule, but then for the first time, I think since we started, we're going to take a couple days off. So we thought that people might be doing other things on Memorial Day, and we thought that maybe we would too. So Memorial Day and Memorial Day, the Tuesday after Memorial Day, there will not be a fireside chat, nor rosary, nor mass, nor nothing. Mass will be on Tuesday evening. I'll have the Tuesday evening mass, but we're going to take a little bit of a break there. So, but next week, just as normal, but just FYI, Monday, Tuesday
okay.
of the following week.
I see how all the connections are with the Wallmeyer.
So-
Well, hello,
I
Heather. It's nice
see.
to meet you.
Okay, yes. So maybe you're talking to Father Greg about the pineapple haircut. So he knows. He's in the know.
Father Greg, 2 words. You're dead.
Maybe he was talking about that one, Being with God.
I don't know. Oh, I hope not.
Oh, maybe he showed it.
They were
Maybe he showed
canonizing. They
it.
were canonizing Luke Doyle and talking about Father Ashmore's pineapple hair.
What can I say?
Very good. Well, we'll see you on Monday then, 10 a.m. For the chat, 8:30 for Mass, and then tomorrow again Bible study, 9 o'clock, and concert tonight. I forget who's performing tonight, but I think it's Rhythm of Christ tonight. I believe at 7 o'clock. More information to follow. We've been doing these concerts. You can go back and see the other ones. They've been really lovely. It's a great chance for the musicians to get together and sing and play together, which they haven't been able to do. That's a really hardship. I mean, for musicians to not be able to play and sing together, they're itching to get back and play. So these have been nice social distance concerts. So it's good for the musicians, and it's good for us to hear the music that we love here at Good Shepherd. So that's tonight. I believe it's 7 o'clock, right here on Facebook and YouTube. And so tune in if you'd like to hear some great music. So Being with God had it. They had the picture.
Really?
Oh, good.
That's right.
The wars have come to the network wars have come to a new level.
Mhm.
Oh, we've got some material too. So
Oh my.
coming right back at you, Father Greg.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
Adios.
Thank you very much. God bless you all.